So, okay, why don't we kick it off? So,
Can we get? Okay.
thanks
Do you want
everyone.
me to just dive in?
Well, let's dive
Go
in.
ahead.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Here's Chris and Doc Alley.
Okay, that's great. Um, so I'll try and spare everyone with the slides, just real quick, and I'll steal from. I'm stealing from another deck that we have, or that I have that I present to our own internal Adobe.com leadership. If you're not familiar,
Yeah.
I'm a senior engineering manager for Adobe.com. We are Adobe.com is arguably the largest and most complex implementation of edge delivery services that I'm aware of. Maybe our volume may not be the most. I think we're at like 300,000 plus pages, but between localization, the complexity that our authors have, the feature set that our authors have asked for, I do think we are the most complicated implementation of edge delivery services. Real briefly, Dark Alley is an end-to-end alternative to SharePoint for web content management. Dark Alley is sort of a unapologetically document-based authoring. On Adobe.com, we obviously were big AEM sites people, and then still are in a lot of ways. And then when we saw the power and the productivity of document-based authoring, we sort of went all in 2022. So Dark Alley is squarely targeting document-based authoring. Dark Alley, between hackathons and some other things, like Dark Alley has been a collaboration between Cloud Foundation Engineering, Edge Delivery Services Core Engineering. Lars is famously our UX scientist. It's Cloud Adoption and Success Engineering, so Jillian Krause's team, Adobe.com Engineering, and then even some of our friends like Arbory Digital and NetCentric, Thinking Box. They've been also great collaborators as we work on Dark Alley.
Yeah.
Before I get like too deep into the weeds, and you're going to see a lot of code and a lot of features. If you have questions about code, like I typically, when I do these sorts of demonstrations, it's really based off of features. So if you want to see code, like let me know, or if I think there's something interesting to show from a code-based perspective, I'll absolutely show that. The thing we get a lot is like, what is Dark Alley as far as like AEM, like is it AEM, is it like what is it, right? Are customers using it, all this stuff? Dark Alley is first and foremost a research project. It was born out of just doing some research into solving some pain points we had with SharePoint. So it's first and foremost a research project. It is 100% not an AEM product. First of all, Adobe doesn't make products called Dark Alley, as hopefully that's not a shock to no one. But it's not an AEM product. But there are, just in interest of transparency, like there are VIP projects that have chosen to use it instead of SharePoint. So there are VIP projects that sort of have accepted the sort of known risks. They said, well, we would rather use Dark Alley and with its inherent sort of beta-ness or research-ness, and so we're working with them for their go lives, and we're really excited about it. With that, I'll kind of do a couple demonstrations. The first one is like because it's an unapologetically document-based authoring, it's very compatible with existing projects. So I'm going to go to DA-live, or actually we can just go click on apps, and we can go to /load or /import, and we can import a site. So I'm just going to pull in this query index full. So this is about 1,900 pages. This is business.adobe.com.
Chris, you are
And
running a
then
bit.
what we'll do is we can import it, and we see our origin. I'm a bit.
You are running a bit fast. So, um,
Okay.
So just
So my talking is faster than my screen?
your talking is let's say 5 seconds ahead of your screen. So
Okay. Uh, I have a tendency to talk fast too, so I'll be slow.
yeah.
So we're on this importer page. We are going to pull from this origin. So this is our real business.adobe.com AEM origin. And then what we can do is we can just say Discord demo. We're just going to call it that and then hit import. And what we'll see is that all of these will start importing. And we do about 50 concurrently at a time, kind of a good balance. And so you can just see that it's just going.
Yeah.
This will take about maybe 3 minutes depending on my connection. So about 3 minutes to import 2,000 documents. We can even look at one of these pages. So ACI Worldwide Case Study. We can hit edit here. And you will see, here's our content. So it all just works. I just imported the query index. We read off of Helix page. And this was really important. This was sort of like table stakes for Dark Alley, is that it had to be 100% compatible with anything that you might get from Google Docs or Word. In fact, we're a little bit more aligned to the Helix markup standard than Word would be. And that's what allows us to read directly off of Helix to import all of this content. And that was really like, again, this is in talking with like what led us down this sort of dark alley is that we had this challenge of SharePoint is really great for most customers. In fact, for like 95% of customers, SharePoint's gonna do you great. If you're not touching the Microsoft Graph API, you're gonna be really well suited. You get that sort of muscle memory familiarity with Word. It's only when you start moving around content and you want a speed at moving that content around and a reliability of moving that content around that you start to think, ooh, maybe there's other options to explore. If you run into rate limiting issues, things like that. So we're importing all these. Again, it's going to take a minute or two. While I'm doing that, we'll go and look at a more mature project. So we have DA Baycom here, and I can just open up customer success stories. And this is probably one of the like more flashy parts of Dark Alley, is that you get we wanted to blend. So we loved sort of the real-time nature of what we got with AEM sites. So this sort of like WYSIWYG approach, but we wanted the sort of like Command A, Command C, Command V of document authoring. One of the pieces of feedback we got from our authors when we moved them over to documents is they're like, wow, we love the speed, but we have to hit preview in order to see if we followed the content model correctly. You know, the thing that I talked about with some folks at Summit was like the form validations or whatever. And so what we said is, well, could we combine the best of both worlds, which is the simplicity of document authoring with the sort of real-time preview nature of what you see is what you get, or what we're used to as editor.html. And so what's great is like we can say, you know, hello Discord, and this will automatically update. And so we can, because we speak sort of native edge delivery, we can just push this content client-side and it's immediate. I stop typing and then it sends it over, and then we can of course see how it works in all of these different scenarios. So you can even see this is even a React component and it just works. So with 3 lines of code, you get this live preview. And we could, I'll actually invite you into, and let's see if this importing is done. Okay, so we just imported 2,000 documents in 3.6 minutes, which is pretty fast. Again, you kind of saw some of these. I'm going to flip-flop as we talk about these things. So we can go into maybe the AEM. So we can go to AEM sites. So here's the AEM sites page, or actually it's not. Let's go look at the next one. Products, Experience Manager, AEM sites. So we can hit edit on this. And this is it. This is the sites page. With tabs and media blocks and all sorts of different fun stuff. Section metadata, everything that you would expect, and we just imported it. So in less than 4 minutes, our entire US content has been imported. Again, speed was absolutely key. So you see the real-time nature of this, which is fantastic. But the other thing is, and I love quoting Carl on this, he said, if we're going to build an editor, it's got to kick ass. And so Carl and David Boschart worked on the real-time collaboration. And I'm going to give everyone we'll go to insights, because I believe this is open. So we'll go to DA block collection, and we'll just do a new document called Discord. Create document. Okay. I'm going to open up this preview, and hopefully I have a chat. Do we have a chat somewhere?
Yeah.
Yep, we do. I'm going to invite everyone to join. And let's see how many people we can get into our document. So while I'm waiting for everyone, I'm going to, maybe add an accordion block here. Okay, looks like Raf is there. We've got some anonymous folks. And you can pull up that preview if you want. I'm going to take a photo, or hopefully I can find a photo. We've got some mountains here, it looks like. Kind of a big photo, so let's maybe do a smaller photo. There's a movie. I'm trying to find like a small... perfect. We'll just do this screenshot here. So even if I drag and drop this, your real-time preview will show. And we can you can see that it's like pure pandemonium with everyone. I love seeing how many people are in this. But it all just works. So Carl and David have worked tirelessly in having this all work. And again, this was sort of like table stakes for what we wanted to do, the feature set. Because, we all kind of make fun of Word, but it's actually a really good editor when you think about the real-time collaboration and everything.
Yeah.
It's really great. So that's sort of like the flashy bits, but the thing that is best about DA is really the APIs. It's the fact that you can import, 2,000 documents in under 5 minutes. That you can just move around content. And also maybe what we'll do is we'll bootstrap a brand new project. So while everybody's having fun there, I'm going to go to DA Live Start, and if we can pay, we're gonna build a net new project. So we're going to use the AEM block collection, of course. So we'll say use this template, create a new repository. We'll say AEM sites, and we'll just say Discord. We'll say DA just so folks know what it is. We'll do public, create repository. So we now have our URL. So we have our project, okay, just forked from boilerplate or from the block collection. We're going to hit go. It automatically tells us our mount point. We hit copy here. We open. It will take me to this FS tab. I'm going to paste in. So we have DA Discord, type markup, commit the changes, commit. We're good. Head back over to start. We say we're done. Do we want some demo content? Sure. Make something wonderful. Great. Sounds good. Here's our project. We've got our demo content.
Chris, slow down a bit. You're demoing faster
you're ready to go.
Than the Discord sharing is capable of keeping up.
Sorry. Okay, my apologies.
Yeah.
So we have the site is done. So in less than a minute, you can go from I have absolutely nothing to I have a site. And I can even, it looks like somebody else is in here, which is kind of fun. And we can preview this. So let's preview it. And everyone can go to this page. Again, we'll share it on the Discord. And again, you could join this. So even you can just see how rapidly you can get up and running. And it's not just from like a net new site, which took about a minute, but also with importing existing content, as you saw with business stuff. But again, Dark Alley really started foundationally because of challenges we had in trying to localize. Created faster than, yeah, faster than a bunch of things, right? So let's do that. We're going to localize a project, or at least we'll do some English copy, so it'll show how we kind of move content around. So if we have a DA block collection here, I'm going to go to, let's go to DA sites, I think. And whoops. And then we can go, let me just double check if we have this. I don't remember if we have this. But we'll look. Does this exist? Oh yeah, okay, cool. So you'll notice in this Baycom project, if I go back, we have all these locales. And if we go click into our favorite country, of course, which is DE, so we'll click into DE, drafts. You'll notice that I have a couple folders here. We're going to make a quick Discord page. So we're going to make that in our source content. And before we do that, I will show, so if you want to localize anything in Dark Alley, you just need to have an Excel spreadsheet. Big shocker, right? So we have the languages that we support, the locales that we map to, and any sort of special options that our translation connector might need. So workflow, things like that, the language codes. But basically, you save this file and you're effectively ready to go. So what we'll do is we're going to make a quick page. So I'll go to Baycom and drafts and see Millar. And I'm going to copy some content. So I have all this content again. We love copy and paste. And one thing that's nice is the way DA stores its content. You don't have to pre-make pages, but we can just say DA Discord, and it's going to make us a new page.
Oh, cool.
And so I can just paste this content in here, and I can preview it. So I can just type in a URL. I want a page right here. It's very Sling-like. I want some content right here.
And not only that, it's much better than SharePoint with that obfuscated link. You can actually make sense of it.
Yeah.
Yes. So we want to localize this page, DA Discord. If I'm going too fast, please, of course. So we'll go to apps and shocker, LOC for localization. And we'll say Discord loc demo, throw in a URL, hit next. So it validates that, oh, yep, the content exists. Does it have any fragments? Nope. Do we have any sheets? Nope. Do we have any errors? Nope. Total 1, great. Hit next. What languages do we want? We'll just say for English, we'll roll out, and German will roll out. Sorry, we're going to stick English content in the German locale, but it saves us some time. We'll hit Start Project. We get language cards for each one of the languages, and then the associated locales to those languages. We'll just say sync to langs, so we can kind of stage our source of truth for English content. Again, borrowing a little bit from Adobe.com conventions, this would work. This is working for Jump.com as well, and they're language-based. So then we can say Start Project. Start Project effectively, because we're choosing rollout, we'll just basically copy this English content into German, and then you go, make it Deutsch. So we'll say Start Project. This will now turn blue, and then we can roll this out. So we'll say roll out. You'll see that goes, that's effectively done. We've rolled out to all of these locales. So we can go back to DA Live,
Chris,
DA Sites,
for
Baycom.
the slow of watching and slow of mind. What's the difference between sync and rollout?
Yeah, so sync is push content into your lang store source of truth. So we have these, so we have Luxembourg, we have Switzerland, we have Austria, we have Germany. Sync would be send this content into the lang store. And then what's great about that is maybe you get content back from your translation vendor that you don't necessarily like. You know your visitors better, they translated something, but you want to change that before you roll out to all locales. Mm-hmm. Rolling out is when you go from lang store and you push out to all of those locales.
Okay.
Sync would be I'm syncing from my translation service into my lang store. Great question.
We have a few questions. Either you can read it or I can read it for you. So one is there a GitHub where we can play around with it?
Yes, absolutely. I'll provide all of those links, and you can go to da.live and get started just like I showed on this call. It's all being recorded. So if it catches up, hopefully the recording keeps everything in sync. But yeah, absolutely. It's all open source. You can see our GitHub issues and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There are other questions. Sorry, I will just jump in. Any scope down to the line to be able to import content that hasn't come from AEM, given it's formatted correctly?
So right now, it's actually content that comes from AEM Edge Delivery Services, to give that distinction. The AEM importer that you know today makes dark alley docs. So if instead of when you choose your output source, Marcus Hack and Alex Cap worked on this, where you can now save to HTML. So you can use the AEM importer like you always have, and it will import your content. So it's exact same workflow as you do today on SharePoint. Great question.
Okay, then we have one more question from Tom. In the demo, the FSTAB mount point had a type markdown. Is Dark Alley using markdown as an import? I think.
That's a great question. It's actually the word markup, which means that it's HTML. Dark Alley is end-to-end HTML. There were a lot of reasons for that. Markdown is a great format to write in. It's not great if you want to annotate any sort of content, and there's a lot of differing opinions, even within Edge Delivery Services itself. With grid tables, so there's a lot of different flavors of Markdown, whereas everyone can agree what HTML is, and the high availability of DOM APIs means that we can manipulate content really easily. In fact, I'll show that if we have time at the end.
Yeah.
But it is, so what's great about this is, like, if you have front-end developers, all of a sudden they are empowered to do any sort of content modeling or changing of the content at scale, because they have just the DOM APIs that they're used to.
Yeah.
Great questions.
No, and if you're familiar with our architecture, then you might know that for crosswalk we're using the same type markup. So to a certain degree, you could say crosswalk and dark alley are siblings or cousins. One coming from the document-based editing branch of the family, and the other one from the what you see is what you get branch.
Great call out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just changing some of my German content. So here are my German columns. Here's my German content. Maybe we'll go to Unsplash real quick, and let's do a search for Berlin. Great, beautiful. Copy image. So again, it's like wherever you want to pull your content from. We could even pull in from AEM assets. So I have this little button here. We're going to open up AEM assets. So I've got an AEM asset server, so I can just open up Dark Alley maybe, and I've got, I think, my family with Chewy here, so we can select that. Maybe throw that in for my German content. So we have AEM assets integration. So we'll close this. So we made changes in region. Again, your regional content. I know my German friends are big Chewbacca people or whatever, right? So you go in and you change that in region. You might have commerce things that you need to update in region. It's all the problems that sort of MSM in the AEM sites space solves for you. We wanted to solve that in the document-based authoring space. So what we'll do now is, if we make changes, so if we make changes to our source of truth, so if we go back to, we have this DA Discord, and we say, new announcement, check here, and then we could say, my new product, and we maybe take this and we say, okay, this is a H2 or whatever. So we've changed our our original source, our USEN content, and we want to roll this out to those regions. We want to roll out like the new announcement with, assuming we would localize again, we're skipping localization just for expediency. So I'll close this document and I can go back into my localization and we can sort of start this sort of over again. So if I go, I copy this and I'm like, so new updates, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Am I out of time?
No,
We'll hit next.
keep
We'll select
going.
we wanna roll
Discord
out.
updated
Turn again.
itself for me.
Okay. Oh, Jeff, you talk to my friend Carl. He really wants to make a chat interface for the editor. So we'll go through this process again. We have new updates, or we made a new, and we're going to start our project. So it's syncing out. Everything's stored in our Lang store. And then we'll hit rollout here. So we're re-rolling out all that content. We'll wait for our German to be updated. In an MSM world, we've got it. Like what's going to happen? And I'm glad you asked, Lars. So we'll go to DA sites, really, and so we have our so you can see
Chris,
that we have our new announcement that came from upstream to use the get term, and then to in here regional content. And so we can just simply say, you know what, I want to keep my German content. I don't want you. And I'll keep my German content. And then, oh yeah, this other old content.
Chris, give me 1 second. I'm seeing a lot of spinning symbols here, which might indicate a network issue on my end.
Content. I don't want you either. Oh, but the Chewy, ooh, I want my German columns. I don't want this. I want my new product. I'll select that. So that gets pushed down to the bottom. And with like 3 or 4 clicks, we've merged our upstream content, and it just all works. Where is this data stored? Constantly borrows a lot of storing bunches of German content. Maybe the last thing before I get into questions. So there's our page. Great. It's all of our German content. So this is a relatively new feature, and this is something that we talk about is like as we try to get to feature complete in comparison to Word, is like, well, what if I screwed up something? Versioning is a central part of our world on Adobe.com. We will take content snapshots all the time. Before we make major changes, before we do major events, we'll do snapshots of content, or we'll create versions. So I made all these changes, and I decided that my German content, my German picture was the best, right? And what if my boss comes in and says, hey, you know what, you need to accept those you should have accepted those new product updates. So I leave this page, and a couple days go by or whatever, and I go back to this, and I'm like, oh, I gotta fix this. The boss says I need to accept that new hero stuff. Oh, we have this little calendar, and all of this is API based. So you have like if you do like some massive rollout where you bulk change 1,000 documents, you can absolutely make versions. But we can click on versions, and we can actually see, we can look at our our new updates, and we can look at this previous version, and we can see all the stuff. Oh, this was the stuff that I should have accepted. And I have an agreement with my manager that I need to take the text, but I don't have to take the image. So I kind of want both, right? So I'm going to restore this document, and I'll say, okay, I want this, and then I want this, but what I'll do is I'll take this out of here, and I'll put this in here, and then I'll trash this this table, and then I'll just get rid of everything else. I'll keep this, great, get rid of this, and I want my German content here, I don't want this, and I want the new updates. So it really allows you, with versioning, it really allows you to sort of blend the two. There's Ina, so hopefully she can fix my German. But the versioning feature is really great. And one thing we did is we said, well, we don't necessarily want to have this like really noisy, I love it. We don't want to necessarily have this like really noisy SharePoint style of minor versioning, but we do want to keep historical context over if somebody has changed it. So what I can actually do is, if I look at these little gray marks, and we can look at some other content. In fact, we'll go to the, we'll just use this, this is fine. If I click on here, I can see all the sort of minor edits. We call this the audit log. And so I can see like, oh, somebody changed this at 9:27. And maybe we don't have a full-blown version, but it allows you to say, oh, somebody's working on this document right now, and who's working on it. And what's great is if we close this, and I think Ina was in here, and we should actually see, yeah, so Ina's now a part of my audit log. And if I was to make a new version, so if I say my fancy content, so hit enter, so we make a new version, and even if I go, if I browse away or whatever, obviously those versions persist. So I can click on this, I can see my fancy content, and I can see that Ina and I collaborated on this. And it's so when you have questions, maybe you're in a different region and you have questions, you can go ask that person, hey, these are the two people that worked on this document. I think that's all I have as far as like what Dark Alley is.
Okay, awesome.
Questions?
So we have one question on the chat from Anian, which is where in the world is the content stored? Do you push it straight to Content Bus, or is there an intermediate storage? Okay. It looks like I got kicked out. Okay, everyone on the recording, I will try to dial into Discord once again. Give me 1 second.
This is a different way. So we obviously did the import where we imported, this 1900 docs in however many minutes. So this is an existing Edge delivery site, and so, or an existing Word-based site. The other angle that you can approach this is if we sign out here, and we're on adobe.com, our homepage, of course, Edge Delivery Project, and we can look at View Document Source. And while homepage is going to have some custom stuff in here, but they still have some of our central framework, but we can just hit copy on this. We can hit copy on any project, and you can paste this in. So we can take this existing AEM sites page, and it's just mock content, but you just paste this in, and it's just going to work for you. So you can either do it like one-off pages, or you can do a full-blown import if you want to do that. You really can mix and match, and that's part of the power of DA. It's an alternative to SharePoint. It's not trying, we really, if part of your company is happy with SharePoint, maybe they don't want to learn a custom UI, because this is different, this is custom. Keep using Word. There's going to be people on Adobe.com that continue to use Word, and we're excited for them because it's less support. So yeah, absolutely mix and match. One last thing. Let's do another last fun piece. So one of the challenges we had was content, like SharePoint search, and especially search and replace. We really struggled with that because changing a Word doc can be very challenging, and changing thousands of Word docs. I have this image and I've copied these Word documents. How do I change this one image? How do I change this block? Oh, the design team decided to, they used to be called marquee blocks, now they're called hero blocks. All of these things happen. So I'm just going to go to a smaller subset of content. So I'll do customer success stories. And we have search here. And I can do a search for, let's see if anybody says Adobe Experience, or actually we'll see if anybody uses the word AEM. Now, if you know anything about Lars's branding guidelines, because again, he's the UX scientist here,
Not mine.
you know that you are not allowed to use the word AEM. It should be Adobe Experience Manager.
Absolutely.
So we just found, okay, so customer success stories, these are stories submitted by our actual customers. So I can say, you know what, I want to replace AEM with Adobe Experience Manager. And that search for 350 documents took less than 5 seconds.
Chris, does that search respect word boundaries? Because famously, there's no I in team, but there's an AEM in team. So would we replacing the AEM in team with Adobe Adobe Experience Manager?
Yes. Well, capital AEM, so it is case sensitive.
Okay.
And this is really this is designed to be admittedly a little crude, simple, and terse. And the idea is if you have complicated search, like if you just want to search for a JPEG, just go search for that JPEG, go replace it. That's what this is meant for. It's not meant for like sling pipe type applications. So if you're used to Apache Sling Pipes, then you know what I'm talking about. So it's like, go use a developer for those like really complicated things. So if I search, obviously capital AEM is capital AEM. So I'll do a replace on this. So it replaces those, replaced in 2 seconds. One thing that was kind of funny about this one that I noticed is if you look at this, they actually say, I think they called it Adobe AEM, so you'll actually see Adobe Experience Manager, which is kind of funny. So the other use case is, again, your design system team comes back and says, well, they're no longer called marquees anymore, they're called heroes. So I can do a search, and again, because it's kind of crude, we can just say, hey, give me all the marquee blocks. So class equals marquee, boom, finds it. Again, about 5 seconds. How much will this cost to use? That's a great question. I would reach out to David Nusar on that topic. So we're going to change this to hero. So class equals marquee to class equals hero. Just go replace these and wait for it. A little slow. Two seconds to do 340 replacements. Let's go pick a random page. Hallmark case study, sure, I love Hallmark. And boom, we now have hero, and we know that this is broken because we don't have a hero lock in Adobe.com. And so we would actually see, and this is another sort of that bridging the gap of like chief things about document-based software. It's like, I don't know that I broke a block until I hit preview. Well, now I know, like, ooh, that block, there's something wrong with that block. So I can just say, oh, marquee, and there you go. I think that's it. I mean, the only other thing that I would maybe say is like we do another DA Discord. One thing we do have completely embedded. Oh, I'm not logged in anymore, so let me log in real quick.
I have a question before you continue to the next one.
Yes, of course.
But it's only changed in the documents and not published directly, or can manipulate the published content, or?
You cannot manipulate the published content. That's a great question. You really want to validate that content, both like we're not just going to automatically publish for you or even preview, which I think is kind of what you want. So we're back into our documents. We logged in. We have this new document called TA Discord. So yeah, if you wanted to, publish that, go lean on a developer, go write a script to automatically publish for all those pieces. And we give you, what's nice is like when you do a search, we give you that nice little list of all the changed pages. So you could do a bulk publish or something like that, you know.
Okay.
So here we can do, and we plan on adding bulk publishing to the list view. So you could just say, okay, I'm good with this, select all, hit publish. It's not available yet. One of the other pieces we had was we have these like less technical folks, and they're like, I need to make a product overview page. You tell me where it is easy, but I'm staring at a blank screen and I don't know what to do. So one thing we implemented is this idea of templates. So of course you can click on blocks and you can add a block, and that's going to give you the block. But what about a full page? Well, what we can do is we can go back and we can click on templates, and I have this customer success story. So I can click, and in one click, I have my entire page, and I just fill out the content. And if I'm used to Word and document authoring, this should not feel too terribly different. So again, just huge productivity wins. You just one click and I have an entire page. I'm not battling editable templates or anything like that. Something that we've historically had challenges with, and we think it's pretty great.
Cool.
That's all. I think that's the full overview of DA. I think you all got the kitchen sink of demos.
Perfect. And as always, for the people who are watching the recording is only as good as my internet connection, which means always great reason to dial in live. Also because you have the opportunity to ask questions to Chris right away. And I think there was one that we didn't answer from the chat. Can you please repeat it?
This should also work quite well to find broke. Yes, absolutely.
So the question was about replacing not product names but host names, right, in URLs. So if we are retiring something, that's what search and replace can do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is great because, for example, on Adobe.com we have a ton of pages and making byte changes is practically not possible with SharePoint. Cool feature, cool demo.
I know somebody was asking for GitHub URL, so let me. Oh, did I probably shared just Discord again. Hold on. I don't know why. Let's go screen, enter screens, 20, great. So links. First of all, da.live. You don't have to be signed in or anything. You can go poke around. We have our less important sites are sort of unprotected. You can add new and follow the three-step process. Again, you'll have a site up and running in less than 5 minutes. A bunch of folks on this call have done this. Jeff has done this. Jeff Fox has done this. Carl has obviously done this. All these folks have gone and made projects. So DA Live is a great resource. If you click on Learn, you can get into our wiki and our FAQ. Both of those are on GitHub. So if you go to FAQ, you'll go to Adobe DA Live. So our GitHub repo is currently open source. and talks about our motivations and everything, and you can see our existing issues, which is sort of our roadmap, the things that we're doing for our VIP customers, as well as just things that we want to tackle. There's several parts of the ecosystem. So there's DA-Live, which is all the like shiny bits, but I think DA admin is by far my favorite part of DA, which is the API, because it's what enables us to create content at scale. And then there's DA Collab. DA Collab is the collaboration server that Carl and David have worked on. This is Edge powered, so this is all serverless. Again, you don't have to be provisioned or anything, it just works. You use DA, you get this. Again, you don't have to use any of these repos or anything. This is not something you host. You just go to DA-Live and start wiring up your content. But if you want to poke at like how we write our code and everything, it's all there. We did submit to Adapt2, and we hope to be accepted. So Lars, being at DVE, maybe you can put in a good word for us. Yeah, if you have any other questions, oh, perfect. Yep, there it is. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, we have, Chris. We have a saying which is code settles arguments, and I think the code that you've been demoing today has been doing quite a bit of settling. So really impressive demo, and thanks for sharing this with everyone.
Yeah, anytime.
Do we have any questions for the last 5 minutes? All are impressed.
Sure. Well, I guess one quick clarification, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, with regards to like the document-based authoring system, so we're using SharePoint, and we're using the words. Our editors love using words, so we're not going to be able to dissuade them from using them.
Yeah.
However, can this be used in conjunction with a SharePoint instance?
Yeah,
and
it's on
if
our
so,
roadmap.
can you, would that roadmap include being able to, import the content, say, to DA, and then do the manipulations that we just saw there that was fantastic, and then export back, perhaps, documents?
Yeah.
Would that be possible?
So it's totally possible, and kind of it depends on like what workflow you want to do. Exporting out to Word is not necessarily on our roadmap, but we do want the thing that we really want to do is if you have a subsection of folks that want to use Word, maybe it's a subsection of your site, maybe it's just drafts. The idea would be that if DA's content provider to Edge Delivery, if we don't have that document in our bus, then we go ask SharePoint for it, and then we provide that. So you can have one mount point in your FS tab, and then we say, hey, do we have this? And it's like, nope. Okay, hey, SharePoint, do you have this? Yep. Okay, and then we provide it to Helix or Edge Delivery with document-based authoring on AEM sites for cloud service. Is that, I don't know.
You've been trying your best.
So yeah, that's where we see this. The find and replace is it's kind of funny. We actually had a task where someone was like, they wanted to test sitemap changes, and so it was like I need to make a lot of dummy content to test some sitemap changes because sitemap is only respected on the main branch, and we don't want to just go live with sitemap changes. So we have this challenge where we're like, okay, all of our content is in SharePoint. What do we do to test this? Do we move all these Word documents? And we know how expensive and time-consuming that is. So we said, well, let's just download everything from onto DA. We can make those documents super fast, and then spin up a new server, or spin up a new GitHub repo, and then test those changes. And so that's what we're doing. So the find and replace thing, it's like it is really exciting, right? It's like, wow, you can find and replace so easily, and I can't do that in Word. Wouldn't it be great to find and replace and then send it back? That's another thing where in our localization, we actually took dark alley research of like the HTML. So what we do now for localization in our SharePoint context is we get off of Word as fast as possible. So like we read directly off of Helix page. We read directly off Helix page to send that to localization, and then we get it back as HTML, and then we convert it. So we almost do what you're talking about in our localization flow, where Andre Tusiu, I'm going to butcher his last name, but he built a Word importer, and he did a ton of the research on sort of this idea of bidirectionalness between Word, and it was more unidirectional, but a lot of the concepts that he built out were sort of bidirectional, because it's like, okay, we have grid tables and Markdown and MDAS and all these other tooling that is part of the Helix pipeline, or the edge delivery pipeline. And his idea was like, hey, people should be able to upload a Word doc, and then we automatically ingest all the images and everything out of it. And it's basically the opposite of what you're asking for. And I think that's all reasonable and super doable. If you have a use and you want to go live, get in touch. We'll try and help you work it out. But the fallback is, we need it for our own uses on Adobe.com, the fallback, because while our sheet editor is really great, it's not as good as Excel. It's just not. If you have 20,000 rows, our little open source sheet editor is not great at that. And so we want to be able to fall back to Excel. And so that is 100% on there, and then that opens up a huge path to mixing and matching. Great question.
I think we can take one more question. And if we don't get a question, then I have a question for Dominic, which is, when are we going to talk next, and what's the topic?
It's quite soon. It's next Tuesday morning. So it's not for the US, but I think most of the people are from EMEA. So yeah, it's Tuesday morning at 9. We talk about Helix 5. And if you would miss it, a week later on Thursday, it will be the second session. So that's extra. Yeah, so we definitely can hit all the time zones for Helix 5.
Great, excellent. Then thanks everyone for dialing in today. Special thanks to everyone asking questions, and a super extra special thank you to Chris for showing this, for building this, for driving this this ahead. And I think it's really fantastic to see how many great authoring options there are now for edge delivery services, right? And how our users are using the openness and shall I say composability of the platform to fix the shortcomings of the tools that they have, and use the tools that are available to the best possible to the best possible effort. So I'm always happy to see Dark Alley. Obviously also always happy to see Chris. So thanks for getting both of this into the Discord call today. Thank you.
Yeah, and big shout out to the sort of extended DA team, Carl, David. You know who you are, but DA doesn't happen without the community and the passionate engineers that are behind it.
Yeah. Okay, and as always, if you have follow-up questions, if you think there's something missing, put it in a thread in Discord, and we will answer it. Thanks everyone.